Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports, and we are going to talk about SRAM, as you noticed in the title. They are a type of company that has been growing by acquisition. So there's many different ways to grow your business, and one way is seek out the people that do something very well that you don't have the resources or time to develop, and just buy that from someone else and bring them into the fold. So that's how SRAM has been growing over the years. So let's talk a little bit of history, and then we'll get into the reason that I felt prompted to post a video about SRAM. So SRAM is an acronym of the founding members. So there was Scott, Ray, and Sam. But Ray is basically just the middle name of the first CEO, Stan Day. So they stood up as a company back in 1987. I'm going to refer to some notes because I want to make sure I get the dates right. And one of the reasons why they've done all these acquisitions is they want to be able to be a one-stop shop for the OE market, original equipment manufacturers. So let's just take an example. We have a bike, and we need to be able, let's say I'm a frame manufacturer, I need to be able to build up that bike and get it out to the market. So I look at what's out there. And Shimano for the longest time was still is, the largest OE manufacturer. As a matter of fact, SRAM sued Shimano over some monopolization of being the OE, and there's more details on that, but that's not part of this video. But just so you know, that's how SRAM, their strategy was impacted by Shimano. So they want to be able to take a frame and put wheels, drivetrain, handlebars, stem, seat posts, all that kind of stuff, and all of it come from one manufacturer. So like, let's say, for example, SRAM in this case. And so their acquisitions have been related to that. And if you look around and you wanted to build a bike with the best parts that you could find from each one of these manufacturers, you might actually do this in each one of these spaces. Let's say it's the hydraulic disc brakes or the shocks or something like that if you're on the mountain bike side. So let's get through some of these dates just so you can see their acquisition. And maybe there's some brands you did not realize fell under the umbrella of SRAM. So their first acquisition was back in 1997, and Sachs, for those who've been around a long time, they know that Sachs made chains and internally geared hubs. So that was one of the technologies that they were able to acquire when either they didn't have it or were seeking out the best people that do that. And I know there's some old timers out there who have some Sachs products probably still on their bikes, and they're very, very well engineered. So they picked up some metallurgists and some engineers. They picked up that chain manufacturing and internally geared hubs, which eventually they abandoned, but at the time they thought it was an important part to add into their umbrella. The next acquisition was in 2002, and they acquired RockShox. So if you're on the mountain bike side, you know RockShox. They make forks, they make seat posts, and all this stuff now is all integrated with their ETAP access groups. So it's all wirelessly controlled from your handlebars, what you're doing with your seat posts and things like that. So that was 2002. 2004, they acquired Avid, and Avid makes hydraulic disc brakes. They make rotors, they make calipers, all that stuff. So that's something they acquired. So now you have chain manufacturing, you have shocks, you have disc brakes. I mean, you're pretty close to building up a bike. So also in 2004, they acquired Truvative. So now you can get cranksets, bottom brackets, chain rings. Okay, so you're getting just about everything you need for a drivetrain. So in 2006, on the road side, they introduced two group sets, Force and Rival. And it's interesting that they chose, Force, so what is now more or less their mid-level group, kind of, and Rival, which is kind of their low-end group. There is Apex below that, and above Force would be Red. So they introduced two groups that were kind of in the middle. And it's interesting because that Force group was raced at the Tour in 2006. So that's pretty interesting. And then in 2007, the Force group was ridden in 2007 at the Tour de France. In 2007, they acquired Zip, which is more than just wheels. They make lightweight stuff predominantly, so seat posts, stems, and handlebars. And a long time ago, I had a Zip carbon crankset, which was really light at the time. There were some failure issues, but mine was fine, that Zip crankset. And some of you may remember way back when Zip actually had an aero frame, and it kind of looked like a Cervelo P5X, kind of looked like a Lotus bike, kind of looked like a Y-foil from Trek. And some of you may not know what the heck I'm talking about, but if you've been around the industry a while, you know the bikes I've just mentioned. And you can Google those later, and you can see some images of those. And the Lotus bike, for the longest time, was one of these benchmarks for their aerodynamic technology, a British company. Okay, and then in 2008, they finally introduced the Red Group. 2011, hey, we need power meters. Where are we going to get them from? Well, Quark is doing something really special over there. Let's see if we can get them. So they bought Quark. So now they have power meter technology, which eventually they integrated into their SRAM Red group sets. And then in 2021, they bought Time pedals. So now you have road pedals, mountain bike pedals. I mean, just look at the strategy here. We've got now an ability to build a complete bike at the OE with all SRAM umbrella components, from shocks to hydraulic disc brakes. You don't get pedals typically OE, but here you go. You can walk into your bike shop and now you're buying Time pedals, and now you've got basically a complete bike with a SRAM drivetrain, pedals, everything. And then we get to the topic of today, which is the Hammerhead Karoo computers. And they introduced one of their head units back in 2020, and they have shown 7 times revenue growth in the last 2 years. So SRAM wants a piece of that pie, obviously. Now, according to them, them as in SRAM, they are going to allow Hammerhead to continue to be a standalone company. They are not going to get in the way of the way they innovate and engineer their products. So I'm guessing this, whenever they say no changes, well, there's got to be something eventually, right? But, SRAM has the financial backing if Hammerhead needs a lot more capital to get their products either much higher production rates, or higher marketing value via SRAM. And of course, now there's a way, I'm sure SRAM's going to find some way for their access to do something with their Hammerhead computer, to do something with their drivetrain and everything else. So interesting news. Now this deal was closed December the 30th, and they just went public with it today. And today is January the 19th of 2022. So this actually closed on December 30th of 2021. So anyway, you are now up to date on all of the SRAM acquisitions. And in this particular video, we talked about Hammerhead. So if you found this information useful, educational, if you'd like to see more of this type of content, please like and subscribe, and please tell your friends. Please share this video as well, and hit that notification bell. I know there's some issues with it. I'm still trying to resolve those. I don't know what else to do. I apologize, but please check in regularly if you're not getting notifications. I try to post a video once or twice a week. Sometimes I have more content that comes ad hoc, and well, then I post it. But thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate your time and your attention. And in the meantime, we'll see you up the road.